All right. Good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us all here today. Today's Shaar Habitachon Nishmas, our dear friend, Menachem ben Yisrael Yaakov, as well as my dear aunt, Rivka Bas Gavriel Tzvi, and as well as L'Refu Shalema Bekarov Meshalem ben Sarah Rachel, and L'Refu Shalema Miriam Bas Sarah. We are on page 55 in the Art Scroll for those who are following along. And today we're coming on the last two of the 7 criteria that a person must have in order for someone to have full trust in this person in any and every aspect of their life. And so today we're going to finish off those last two, and he's going to talk a bit about, tomorrow we're going to get into a bit more how we respond to that, but let's finish this up first. Here's Vahashishis. The 6th quality needed to bring forth absolute trust in a provider is Sheyiyeh Inyan Habatiach Kuloi Masur Biyadeh. That the fortune of the person bestowing his trust is entirely under the control of the provider. Meaning, the person who is seeking trust in someone understands and is giving them full-heartedly that everything and anything that happens is only up to this person. And no one can harm him or help him. Meaning this person is fully in charge of his entire life, and that no one can change any aspect, good or bad. Nor can anyone else in the world, besides this one person, bestow good upon him or protect him from any harm. Zulasai, other than the provider. He says, in the 3rd criteria, what we spoke earlier, we spoke about that this person manages his affairs, doesn't necessarily do it all, but he manages affairs. Here in the 6th criteria, the difference is over here that this individual actually makes everything happen or causes anything from happening that he doesn't want to. His ka'evet ha'asar, he brings the example, a parable, he compares it to an evet. He says, rather a person bestowing his justice is like an imprisoned servant. A servant that his master threw into prison is asher hu beves habar b'shus adonav, who is in the dungeon. Gets a little creepy, but he's in the dungeon under the exclusive control of his master, such that nobody else can do anything to this person without the master's permission. Meaning the master says anything that goes, and nobody else can do anything else. When the person bestowing his trust is under the control of the one whom he has placed his trust, this provider, in this comprehensive way, in this manner that we're talking about right now, that he has absolute, full, 100% control over you. Nobody else, not even yourself, has control over you, only the master, only the person you entrust. It is even more fitting for him to place his full trust in that provider, since no one else has any influence over anything that happens to him. And that's the feeling in the 6th criteria that you have to have. Now the 7th and final criteria that this person who you're seeking, and again, I just want to reiterate that we're not talking yet about Hashem, we're still talking about hypothetically that we find a person that kind of possesses all these 7 criteria. V'hashvius, and the 7th of this criteria is Sheyeh Misha Batachalav Baskilas Hanadivos V'achesed. That the one whom he places his trust is absolutely generous and kind. Now, it's very important to listen to these words to understand what the 7th one is. Not just that he's generous and kind. It's more than that. It says, L'misha ra'oloi or l'misha eini ra'oloi. So that the goodness flows to one who deserves it and is to one who doesn't deserve it either. So it's not just that he's good to you. It's that he's good to you even when you don't deserve it. Not just when you deserve it. It says, V'siyah nedivos masmedes v'chazdoi nimshach. And furthermore, his generosity is constant and his kindness is continual. And lo yikares v'lo yipasek, never being cut off due to any external factors and never seizing one on its own. And what that means is that this, hypothetically, this person, you're entrusting him, and that they're always there to do good for you, whether you're behaving or not. And what he's saying is that what's more than that is that this person you're entrusting, maybe they always want good for you, but what's if he's having a bad day? And he's just not in the mood of doing good for you. Because this person can't possess such a quality or inequality. That he can't have these mood swings. He can't have certain things that change his decision in the middle of the day just because. He has to always constantly be wanting to give to you, be happy for you, and want the best for you. And that's what is in the 7th criteria. It says when an individual who controls one's destiny is unfailingly generous and kind in all circumstances, and he also has the 6 other criteria that we spoke about earlier, absolutely you can have full 100% bitachon in such a person that the person is always going to be there for you. Now, before we summarize and review the 7 criteria, I want to talk about this. Where do we see, because now we're going to start talking about Hashem starting tomorrow, where do we see that bitachon is based on Hashem's kindness and even when you're undeserving? How do we know this? What do you mean when we're undeserving, He gives us kindness? He shows a pasuk that we say every single week in Tefillah at Shabbos. It says in Nishmas, there's a pasuk that explains, that we learn from this pasuk, that even though we're undeserving, Hashem is still good to us. The pasuk reads like this: Ad heina azarunu rachmecha v'lo yazavunu chasdecha v'al Hashem alakeinu l'netzach. It translates such as, until now, your mercy has helped us, and your kindness has not forsaken us. And you will not abandon us, because Hashem, you are Hashem forever. Now, let's dissect that. It says, the pasuk says, until now your mercy has helped us, means whatever help you have been given us until now was not on the account of our merit, but rather on the account of your mercy, right? Because you weren't a good boy till now. Yet Hashem was still good to you. Or maybe you really were a good boy. I'm not going to be the judge of that. But we all have our things that we can look back and say, maybe we weren't deserving of it, but yet Hashem was still good to us. So he says, that until now, all that you good to me is not because of my merit, only because you had mercy on us. Likewise, it says, and your kindness has not forsaken us, means the fact that you have not forsaken us until now wasn't a result of our own virtue, but rather a result of your own kindness. Right? And if we had to go back and look at our future, because again, we're putting full trust in this person. And so the thought process is like, if we weren't good till now, and He was kind to us, in the future, if we're doing even worse, if we're not good to Him at all, then we don't feel comfortable that person, again, that person, not Hashem yet, is going to be good to us in the future. But that pasuk teaches us that we conclude that from this pasuk we learn that even though in the past where we were undeserving many times, yet Hashem was still kind to us every single day. And whether we saw it or not at the early stages, and maybe later on we were able to dissect it and realize what that goodness was. But now we can feel comfortable and understanding that our future will also hold kindness and goodness from Hashem. And so to summarize these 7 criteria is, the first one is that the person that you're having this trust in has to be compassionate and pitying and to be able to bestow trust in it. The second one is that he's attentive to your needs and energetic in addressing them, meaning that this person doesn't put his own needs first. He says, whatever you need, I'm going to do it right away. Not, I don't have time, I'm tired, I have other things to attend to. No, always there for you only. The third one is that this person has supreme power. And we spoke about that means that he's not strong. It means that in any area that you need help, this person is the go-to. That person is the one who's going to make that happen. Nobody's going to come against him. He's not going to have any pushback from any other being. The fourth is having perfect knowledge and insight into what good is for this particular person. I gave an example of like a doctor, that this person knows everything that's going on in your life, whether you're sharing it or you're not sharing it. He knows everything. Just like the doctor needs to know everything in order to prescribe your prescription, because what might be good might not be good for you because an allergic reaction of some sort or whatever. But this person knows everything that is good for you, knows everything that's going on in your life, so they know the remedy to do with that. The fifth one is being one consistently dedicated to the person's need at every point of his existence. Meaning, we spoke about this from when this person was conceived until the day he dies, he's constantly in control. The sixth one is having absolute control over everything that happens to this person. That no one else can do anything good or bad to you without this person's consent or his doing. And the seventh one is being generous, whether you deserve it or undeserved it. And just to summarize, he says, actually broke it down, that the first 2 qualities actually establish the individual's care. That this person that you're putting the trust in cares enough to provide to one's needs. The next 2 qualities establishes that he has the ability to provide those needs, the one he cares about. And the last 3 qualities assures that this person and nobody else actually will be the one that provides his needs. And those are the 7 criteria that if you find someone that fits that 7 criteria, fits the job description, you can have 100% full trust. You can have that bitachon in them. And tomorrow, B'ezras Hashem, we're going to start learning as to why it's only Hashem that could fit these 7 criteria. You can find somebody that fits 1 or 2 or 3, but all 7 you're not going to find only in Hashem. Thank you, everyone, for joining us all here today, and I love you all.
Thank you,